Welcome to episode 3 of Good People of Gooding. I'm Natalie Huerta. I go to North Valley Academy and I am a member of the youth group here at the United Methodist Church. Today we are meeting J.D. Adams. Welcome to the show, J.D.
Thank you, Natalie.
To start off, we want to know, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in northern Utah, in a little town named Providence, Utah. So about 2.5 hours from here.
Okay. What was your childhood family like? Like mom, dad, or any siblings you had?
So I had my mom and my dad, and then I have 2 twin brothers. So I don't have any sisters. My twin brothers are a couple years younger than me, so I'm the oldest. We grew up on about 3 acres, and my dad had horses and cows, and so we spent a lot of our childhood around doing things like that, and so that was a little bit about my childhood or my family.
Were you involved in any school activities or sports?
I was involved in both, so I did a lot of both. From an early age, I got involved in the schools from a sports perspective to begin with. So I played a lot of sports growing up, but as I got older, there were several school activities and volunteering opportunities that we got involved with, and the school would go out and do service projects and different things like that. So a little bit of both.
What were your childhood aspirations or dreams?
So when I was really little, I wanted to grow up and be a professional basketball player. I thought I was going to be a basketball player. Unfortunately, I didn't grow until I was about a junior in high school. So my nickname in high school was actually Junior. So I was really small. I weighed about 100 pounds my senior year of high school. So I was really small. So obviously playing professional basketball as a little guy was not going to work out. But as I kind of grew up, I thought I was going to be a physical therapist. So I thought the world of medicine and sports would be a good mix for physical therapy. And so I went to school to become a physical therapist. And shortly during my undergraduate degree, decided that doing physical therapy only wasn't quite what I wanted to do, and so I got exposed to the business side, which is why I got into healthcare administration.
What advice would you give to young people or kids today?
I would say take the time to learn as much as you can. You don't get any day back. All of us are given a new day, and we got to make the most of it. And so I would say take each day and learn as much as you possibly can each day. Learn how to interact with people. Learn to love people. Learn to show that love, show that appreciation. I think our society could use a lot. I think of little kids. I love when I see little kids. They're so willing to just be who they really are. I think of my little boy right now, and sometimes he says things and I'm like, man, I wouldn't say that. But I know exactly what he's thinking, and I don't have to guess because he's unfiltered and he's raw and he's who he is. And I think as a kid, many of us adults could learn how to be like that more. Sometimes we reserve our opinions or reserve what we're really thinking because we're afraid of what someone might think of us. And the reality is we're all unique and have something to offer. And so my advice to little kids is to make the most of your day, learn as much as you can, and never hold back what your convictions are for life.
Why did you decide to live in Gooding?
So we lived in Boise before we moved here to Gooding, and my wife and I talked about kind of moving down to the Magic Valley in general, and I was tired of commuting for work. I drove about 40 minutes every day for work when I lived in Boise, and I didn't want to commute. And so when we looked down here, we looked for a place where I could be close to where I work at the hospital. And so I work about 3 minutes from my house, so it makes it nice. But it also is really nice for me because I am busy at work, and so I don't have a job that oftentimes lets me take much time off. But being close to my family and being close to the school makes it so that I could sneak out for 15 minutes and go see my little kids recital, or I can sneak out and go have donuts with Dad in the morning type of thing. And that was really important to me. That was something that my parents did for me, and I just wanted to make sure that we had that opportunity. I also like Gooding, so we live on a little bit of a bigger lot out by the airport, and we have a four-wheeler and do some of those outside things, and I like being able to be spread out and being able to do some of those types of things, whereas when we lived in Boise, we lived in a subdivision and there wasn't a whole lot of the outside type activities we could do.
What made you decide to work in the medical field?
I kind of talked a little bit about physical therapy, but I got injured. I actually hurt my elbow playing basketball. I hurt my shooting arm, so this arm, my right arm, and I couldn't shoot. I couldn't play the way I wanted to play anymore, and so I had to go see a physical therapist. And that was kind of what helped me want to get into the medical field. Was I was somebody who was injured and could see how someone took care of me and helped me be able to get back to doing something that I really love to do. And I think that's why most people get into healthcare, is because they're compassionate individuals who want to take really good care of the patients. They want to help people get back to being healthy. And so that was why I chose to get into healthcare.
Are you involved in any community groups?
Yeah, so there's quite a few different community groups around town. From a hospital perspective, we participate in a lot of the Chamber of Commerce groups and a lot of the Rotary groups and different things like that, so we do those. For me personally, I've participated and helped coach with the rec district, so I like to participate and give back what little knowledge I have. Like I said, I like to play sports, but a little bit too old to play sports on the competitive level, and so I do that. And then I like to participate in community service projects and fundraisers. We were talking a little bit about one that's coming up here in the community for Jazzercise and Tough Enough to Wear Pink. And I like to be involved in the community. I like to know the people. That's part of the reason why I like being here in Gooding, is when I walk through the lobby at the hospital, I like to be able to see faces I know and people I know and be able to help those individuals.
If you could go back in time and give advice to yourself as a child, what would it be?
Trust your gut. All of us have been given the opportunity to choose right from wrong, and oftentimes our gut is a pretty good indicator. If my gut is uneasy, there's probably a reason why my gut's uneasy. Maybe I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, or maybe I need to think about doing it a little bit more. I think back to one of the first times I drove the car. I was 15, and I had that uneasy gut feeling, right? Like I shouldn't be doing this. And I got into a car accident doing it, and I look back on that and think to myself, like, I knew it was wrong, or I knew I needed to do something different. Maybe it wasn't wrong. I had my learner's permit at the time, but something didn't feel right, and I should have followed that prompting. I should have followed that gut feeling. And I think sometimes when little kids, they can feel it out on the playground. You feel the same thing as an adult, right? It doesn't go away. It might be in a different setting. It might be at work in an office, right? I might get that gut feeling, whereas on the playground it feels totally different. But I would say my advice to a little kid is to trust your gut. And there's a reason why your gut's uneasy, and it's probably something you need to follow.
What do you like most about Gooding?
I'd say the small town feel. So I love the opportunity to go into restaurants or to the grocery store or out on the football field and be able to know the people and be able to say hi. I love that community feel. I grew up with it, where we would run across the street and we'd play baseball, right? Or we would do whatever in the street. And when we moved to big cities, we lived kind of all over the country. When we lived in big cities, sometimes we didn't even know who our neighbors were, let alone who was in the community. And so to me, what I love most about Gooding is it has that family feel. It has that feel of we're all different, we all come from different backgrounds, but we all are here to take care of each other, and we can ask each other for help and get to know each other. So I love that about Gooding.
I was also asked the same question. I said that I like the small town feel.
Yeah.
My family really never likes to live in big cities because like a bunch of traffic and there's too many people. And my mom loves the small towns because like you said, you know so many people. And you could just walk up to somebody and be like, hey, I remember you from blah, 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 and then start a little conversation.
Yep.
back to the point. If there was one thing you could change, what would it be?
If there's one thing I could change, what would it be? That's a hard one for me. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I'm meant to figure out what that reason is. And so sometimes I look back and say, I would change that I didn't get hurt, so that I had to go see a physical therapist, so that I could grow big and tall and become a professional basketball player. But I also look and say, if I had done that, maybe I wouldn't be who I am today. And so that's a hard question for me to answer, because I try not to live life with regrets. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There's things, stupid decisions I've made, I'm sure, that are not coming to my mind that I think, man, I probably shouldn't have done that, and if I could go back, I wouldn't do it. However, I think that's part of what the beauty of life is you have to do some stupid things in order to know the good things. And so I don't know that I would say there was any specific thing I would change. I would say probably one thing that I could do better on is making sure that my family knows I love them, and making sure that every night they know that, and they don't have to question it. I think if we spent a little bit more time letting each other know that we love each other, I think the world would be a little bit better place.
If there was one thing you hope never changes, this might be a little easier one from you. If there's one thing you hope never changes, what would it be?
One thing I hope never changes. I think for me, one thing that I hope that never changes is that the greater good will always win. I hope that never changes in our world. That even in spite of all the negativity and in spite of all the hard things we deal with in life, that there is enough people out there that want to help each other and are compassionate for one another, and they're willing to put aside their personal views in order to welcome all those people. So I would say the one thing that I hope never changes is the greater good.
What is something you think can help your neighbors better understand you?
I feel like we have really good neighbors, and I guess I kind of consider more than just my physical next door neighbors individuals that are neighbors. But I think one thing that I hope people understand is that I'm just like them, and I want them to be able to come up and talk to me and share their concerns. I love to hear people tell me about their life, and I would say I'm always fascinated on learning about people's journey. I'm not a very musically inclined person, and so I'm always fascinated by people who can play an instrument and do things like that. And so I would say if there was something that I would want my neighbor to know about me, is that I want to learn about them, what made them who they are, and why do they have so much fun in their life, and maybe I can learn to have fun in a similar fashion to them.
What can your neighbors do that will help you better understand them?
I think we need to get out and meet each other. I know it's hard. COVID's been hard for that the last 18 months. It's been a little bit hard to create that familiar connection, friendship connection. And so I would say one of the things that I would say is to not be a stranger, and even though we may disagree on topics or we may have a different philosophy on life, we're all here to learn from each other, and we're all trying to do the best we can with what we have. All of us are given a little bit different lot in life, and I would want my neighbors to get out and meet each other and be friendly and show that compassion. And back to the question about why is Gooding the way it is, it's a family feel, right? And the way that family feel happens is by all of us coming out and getting to know each other and supporting each other and learning about the different aspects in our lives, so that when Sally needs, someone to come over and help her rake her leaves here this fall, or, Johnny needs help fixing his motorcycle, or whatever it may be, I think that's a big part of our society that's missing right now, is we're not serving each other the way that we have in the past. And so I would say if there's one thing that I would like to see our neighbors do with me is let's get out and help each other, support each other.
Well, that is all the questions I have for you today. I hope you liked this interview, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.